All right, welcome back to Alabama Homestead, everybody. Today we're going to go over what we have in the orchard and some of the ins and outs of the various fruits that we're growing. So if you are interested, stay tuned. Okay, the very first thing I want to show you is some of the casualties we have happened here at in the orchard. This was an apricot tree and it started off the year nice tall growth, everything was going good. Come out here one day and all the leaves were down on the ground and it was dead. So I'm not quite sure what happened to this apricot. It must have died at the roots because we don't have any root shoots coming up. So I don't think there was anything that was compromised in the upper part of it. So this spot will get replaced. We just don't know what with. All right, the next big thing that we had happen is this was one of my favorite trees. This was the Smith of Mississippi apple tree. And this thing grew up big and fast and it put on loads of fruit last year. This year we had a little hurricane storm come by, tropical depression, and blew it this way, and then Michelle come out here to cut, and then I had to lay it back over the other way. But this broke at the root system, and I figure with just the 25, 30 mile an hour winds that we had, it would have easily had withstood that. So I don't know what happened to this apple tree. I know that it's on M111 rootstock. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it, but I have my shell apple over here and it is also on the M111. The storm did blow it just a little bit, but it really didn't suffer very much damage. So I don't know, but let's go ahead and look at the apple tree while we're here. This was the apple tree that was bred here in Bruton, Alabama, local to us. And Mr. Green Shell, after he got through with this, got out of the Civil War, moved to the area and had an entire orchard. Yeah, it's got apples on it, and I believe the apple is ready. But look at there, that's a nice big apple. Nice and red. I'm not gonna pick it right now. We're gonna probably let that fruit fall off. I had a few on it earlier this year, but I'm really liking this tree, and I'm thinking I might replace that tree with another one of these apples. Good tasting apple, local, bred here, and this is where it got its start here in our Escambia County, Alabama. Okay, now this is a pluot. When I first planted this pluot, this is called Satin Spring. And then I did some trading back and forth and I got some graft wood and I grafted 7 other varieties of pluot onto this tree. And so this year was the first year it had fruit. And I had 4 or 5 of the Satin Spring on there. Then I had a couple of the other varieties. As they got ripe, they were getting ripe as the others had finished up. So it was some succession to it and I really enjoyed that. Excited about this tree and I hope it continues to do as good as it did this year, so that maybe down the road we have even more fruit. But good looking tree other than the bugs eating it up. Okay, last year we planted out our Duncan white grapefruit. Planted it out this spring. We bought this last year. I held it through the winter in buckets, planted out this spring. Got a lot of nice good growth on it since we've getting a lot of rain here lately. Maybe next year we'll get some grapefruit off of that. All right, Gala apple. I've got 1 graft on it, horse apple. Hasn't done much since I put it in the orchard 3 years ago. This is the 3rd year it's been in ground. This was the very first apple tree that we planted, and I put a lot of grafts on this. The apples you see here is a variety called St. Clair, but this is on the Fuji apple tree. So I just went to the local big box store, bought a tree, threw some grafts on there, but I got several other grafts growing. St. Clair seems to be doing really well on this tree. And then I got horse also right here in that, and had a couple of grafts fail. And Dixie Red Delight is right here. And I got Hawkeye, which is a graft right down here, and it's not performing very much. But if I do any more grafts, it may be on the some of the more vertical stems, but hasn't really done as well. Look at this tree compared to the shell tree over there that I just showed you. These trees were planted at the same time. So you can tell that you should plant a tree that was meant for your area if you want to get good results. Sharonui orange, some people call it decoupon, and the commercial variety is called Sumo. Nice big orange. It has the consistency of a navel orange, but it's the sweetest of any of the orange varieties, and when this thing ripens up, an absolutely awesome. This is my #1 orange I've ever eaten my entire life. I love this. So hard to find these. You're not going to find these at the big box store. You have to find somewhere that'll order it. And I have a friend, Hershell, over in Georgia. If you're interested in buying one of these, he can ship them to you. And I can link his address down in below at the bottom of this video. Got some loquat trees over here. Another catastrophe with the loquat. This one over here we had to stake up. Last year during the hurricane season came through and we had some high winds and it popped the root. So I've tried to stake it up to see if I can get it to regrow with the root system. We're going to find out this year if we've got to replace that tree or if it's going to take. Can't remember the name of that variety. This is called Angelino, and that is starts with an N. I got that at Just Fruits and Exotics down in Crawfordville, Florida. But that is that's a variety. That's not just your average loquat tree that grows up in your yard. Nice big sweet fruit. Planted this one out last year. This is Granny Smith apple. If you've watched any of our grafting videos, you already know about this pear tree that I have here. I've planted this Kiefer pear as a rootstock plant only, and then I've grafted everything that I wanted to graft onto this. Southern King pear, Southern Bartlett pear, another Southern King graft, a Scarlet pear right here, Florida Gator, or Florida Gator pear. Look at how nice that grew just in one season. Maxine right here, and then this tall one right here, that's Tennessee. And then we have Orient pear here, and Golden Boy right here in the middle that I just grafted this year. And you want to bring the camera in, I can show you how well this one's doing. It was a nice big thick graft. Look at that. It just took right, busting out of the wax. The graft looks good, got some nice growth. Got some nice growth going on right there. Yep, looking good. Really happy with how that tree has performed. Since we're right here, I got Sam Houston peach. And this one complements our LA Feliciana peach over here. Just as this one finishes up, this one is getting ripe. So we got succession peaches growing right now. Sajo persimmon, one of the sweetest persimmons you can get. Also had to go all the way down to Just Fruits and Exotics to find this one. It's a long, oblong, narrow, but long, sweet persimmon. Ichikichi Gyro persimmon down here. Look at there, it's got some nice fruit growing on it there. So this is the second year. I went and got this plant this time last year, so that's only been in the ground 1 year. That's been in the ground 2 years. Bubblegum plum hasn't done anything but bloom. It was loaded out with blooms. I haven't gotten any fruit off of this yet. If this doesn't do something by next year, I'm whacking it off and then we're going with something different on top of that rootstock. If you don't bear fruit, it's time to move on. All right, over here we have Bartlett pear. It's not done anything for me. Same with the Moonglow pear. It's not produced any fruit. Been in ground 3 years. I'm expecting to see fruit by next year. If not, it's going to go the way of the plum tree is get cut down, and we'll graft over the top of it with something that does want to perform. Right here we have Shiro Golden Plum. This was a graft. I grafted this one right in here last year, so this is just 2 years growth, last year and this year, this one limb. And this one limb put out a bunch of fruit on it, whereas the rest of the tree, I think I had 2 plums off the entire rest of the tree. The rest of the tree is a golden plum. So Shiro does good in this area. Now over here, we have, I can't remember and I can't find the tag. Oh, here it is. Loquat pear. Performed excellent last year. This year I only had 1 pear on it. I don't know what happened, but I got 7 or 8 pear off of a small tree of this last year. But it seems like it wants to do good in this area, so I have high hopes for that. I went over to a nursery and a guy sold me this peach tree contender, I think is the name of it, 1,000 chill hours. We're lucky if we get 600 chill hours in this area. It didn't even start sending out shoots until May this year. I don't have high hopes on this one. Probably give it another year. I'm probably going to go over it with something else and we'll graft over that. And then Jujube Li, L-I is the variety this is. And I had quite a bit of these Jujubes on it last year. There's one right there, and it's a little misshapen, deformed. There's a couple of fruit on it, but maybe next year it'll do a little bit better. Another pear tree, beautiful, looks great. Warren pear has not done anything for me, but buying this, I already knew that this would be several years because people have already reported it takes a number of years to get this thing fruited. So we're gonna give it some more time. It's a good looking pear tree. Best, Florida Best. This is a 200, maybe 150, 200 chill hour peach tree. We get a good hard freeze in January. February, this thing's blooming out. Drives me nuts. But this year, we didn't have that last cold snap that we normally get. And we had a great number of peaches off of this tree. It was absolutely loaded. We probably got 30 or 40 peaches off of it. They're smaller peaches, but good flavor. So that was good. All right, I already talked about the LA Feliciana, the Shell, Methley Plum. Already talked about it, LA Felicia. Yep, I had already talked about that one.
Almond tree.
No, we didn't talk about the almond tree. I think this is called All-in-One Almond, and I bought it up in Georgia. So this was typically like a zone 7 tree. It has grown here. It has flowered, and it set a couple of fruit, but they didn't hang on. So maybe next year this thing will bear some almonds for us. But you know, nut trees, they take 10 years before you start getting anything off of them. So we'll see. Methley Plum, had a few plums on it finally this year, but the tree looks good. It's grown well. I just hope maybe next year it'll set more than it did last year. Now, this is Sunray Nectarine. Same thing as Florida Best. You get the hard freeze, it's blooming in February. You get the hard snap freeze and you lose all the fruit. This year we got a lot less than we did on the peaches, but at least we did get some fruit on it this year. So I would probably have went with a higher chill hour nectarine than what this was. Blueberries, we got a little row of blueberries here. We got Kruger, this is Alapaha, Titan, Premier, and then this is a Southern High Bush variety, and it was never sold to me with a name on it other than that it was just Southern High Bush. So it'll probably be a couple more years before we start getting a good decent amount of blueberries. Okay, here's our fig collection. Let's talk about our figs. I started collecting figs 6-7 years ago. And I started getting a number of my figs back whenever you could trade among fig tree collectors before Fig Bid come along that wanted the outrageous prices. So I've gotten a various collection of figs here, but I didn't pay a lot of money for them at the time. Now I've just recently added Colonel Littman's Black. My good friend down in Pensacola, Charles, sold me that tree, put it in the ground this year. Yeah, it's looking good. It's rated a top ranked dark fig. If you're looking for a good fig, Colonel Littman's Black. And Tello's Purple, absolutely loaded this year. Michelle, can you bring the camera in and just show all the figs? This one's absolutely just loaded with figs, and they're just starting to turn. I think we had some figs off of it yesterday, didn't we?
Yep.
All right, yellow Lebanese, didn't do anything this year. And then this is it's a Black Madeira variety. I can't think of the name of the actual, Violetta is the name of this, but that's a slow growing tree. At this point, I'm hoping that it holds on and it puts on a little bit of growth. Those are really hard to get to grow. Dominique's Italian, this is Michelle's favorite right here. This is absolutely a wonderful fig. This was given to me by Noonan Dog, my friend Mike up in the Atlanta area. And that's been a real good fig for us. This is Alma. Alma is an okay fig. It's a good parent variety that they breed a number of figs out of. And this one is Danny's Delight, another really good dark fig. It's loaded up this year. Got one turning right there. So another day or two, that's going to be finishing up. Chicago Hardy, good looking tree. Last year it put on a lot of figs. This year I only got 1 or 2 figs on it. But you know, it's performed in the past, so we're going to go with it. This one is Long Day Out, which is a nice, or some people call it the cucumber fig, nice big green fig. That's a good one. Scott's Yellow. So you got some of them a little susceptible to rain, just like most all your other figs. That one's turning ripe. Look across over there. It rained yesterday and those figs busted open, a couple up there. But this has been a strong growing fig tree. Now keep in mind, if you look down the row, all these figs were planted roughly at the same time. So you can kind of see how one variety does better than another variety does here. But this is an LSU variety, LSU Scott's Yellow. This is probably one of the best figs that I've got. This is called Smith. Finally getting a good ripe fig here at the bottom. So tomorrow we get to sample that. That's a great fig. If you can find Smith, you're probably going to pay a lot of money for that one. Champagne Yellow was a lot bigger last year. All the limbs froze to the ground. All this growth is just from this year. So it's a good grower. It has a decent fig. It's a nice yellow type of fig. It's done well. Namwa banana tree. Haven't gotten fruit off of it yet. I've only had this one plant for about 3 years. But look how many pups it has sent off and how tall it's gotten. I was hoping to have bananas on it this year, but we had a late freeze that killed my main stalk in there, so it set back my banana harvest. Dwarf Namwa. This is a raisin tree that'll have raisin flavored flower stalks. I know, probably never heard of it, right? But look it up, it's interesting. Look at here, folks. Concord grapes. If you want to make some Concord grape jelly, there's a variety here that grows in our area called Sunbelt. I picked this up in my local Walmart. It's done really well. Over here, we've got a white wine variety of a grape. Let me see. Blanc de Beau is the name of this one. absolutely loaded up this year. But the blue jays have just tore me up. I had to put this owl up yesterday, but look at there. All those stems were just loaded with grapes 2 days ago. And the blue jays have just come in here and wiped me out. I had high hopes for making a good jelly. All right, we got some blackberries down there, some scuppernongs down there. You've probably already seen the video of the Shangri-La mulberry. We just recently added this Pakistan mulberry. This is going good, but it's a nice big long mulberry top rate variety. We're almost done. Let's go ahead on over to the citrus. We put all of our citrus on the south side of the garage here to protect it from the north wind. And also put a lot of my potted plants over here to kind of keep them. But we've got a flame grapefruit. We have a tangerine. Can't remember the variety. And then I've got a lot of potted plants that I've got to find spaces for. Key lime over there. I got tea bushes. We're going to be doing a video on making tea with the tea bushes. We got a variegated kumquat, and this is our lemon tree. Okay, we're going to go over here, finish on up here in just a second. We've got a Kerry mango tree. The Kerry mango will always be in a pot for our area because it's frost sensitive, and it can't take a frost, so we'll just move it in and out during the winter. Avocado, been in the ground. This very first thing I put in the ground when we moved here was this avocado. Small bush, it's gotten up big. I'm having to trim it. Had a couple avocados hang on, and then recently aborted the fruit because we went 6 weeks back in May without any rain, and it aborted the fruit off of it. So if it doesn't do anything next year, we'll have to see. This is our sour kumquat. Starting to put on fruit this time of the year. Just went through the blooming season. As you can see right there, it's absolutely loaded with a bunch of kumquats. Okay, I've been happy to show you everything that we have growing here. Hope you've enjoyed the tour, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy what you saw. Thank you.